Being 7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bosmas.
Here.
Commissioner Baker.
Here.
Commissioner Collins.
Here.
Commissioner Gary.
Here.
Commissioner Talentino.
Here.
Commissioner Twardy.
Here.
Okay, we're all here. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, thank you very much. I would ask those with cell phones, if you would please put them on vibrate or silence them by turning them off. We would appreciate it. Just wanted to, we'll mention it now, we'll mention it again at the end of the meeting during Commissioner comments. Parker Hardware's Parade of Lights is coming Friday night at 7 o'clock. The Christmas parade, as we called it normally. But Parker's has certainly been a sponsor of that parade for a very long time and really makes it happen. And then the parade will start, line up behind Parker Hardware, and then go down Ann Street to Ashman, and proceed down Ashman to the tree lighting ceremony at City Hall. And that'll all begin at 7 o'clock, but the lineup is starting around 6 o'clock. So, item number 1. Public comment on scheduled agenda items. Anyone in the audience that would like to speak on an agenda item, you may reserve time at this time, and you have up to 3 minutes to speak on an agenda item. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on an agenda item? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to item number 2, the consent agenda. Deputy City Manager Troyer.
Under the consent agenda, A, minute approval. 1, approval of the minutes of the Organizational City Commission meeting of November 13th, 2017. Recommended action is to approve the minutes of the Organizational City Commission meeting of November 13th, 2017. Item 2, acceptance of the minutes of the following boards and commissions. A, Economic Development Corporation of October 17th. Recommended action is to accept the minutes of the various boards and commissions. Item B, appointments and resignations. 1, appointment to the Local Officers Compensation Commission. Recommended action is confirm the mayor's appointment of William Lynn to the Local Officers Compensation Commission to fill the balance of a term to expire on October 1, 2021, and have the clerk send a letter of thanks to Frank King for his service to this board. Item 2 is resignation from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Recommended action, accept the resignation of Gary Dean from the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term that is set to expire on June 1, 2019, and send a letter of thanks for his service to this board. Item 3, appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Recommended action, appoint David Lockhart to the Zoning Board of Appeals to fill the balance of a term to expire June 1, 2019. Item C, City Manager's Report. 1, authorization to submit the Walmart Community Grant. Recommended action is to approve the submission of the Walmart Community Grant application as presented. Item 2 under the City Manager's Report is approval of special assessment billing policy. Interest rates. Recommended action is to approve the special assessment billing policy as presented.
Okay, thank you. Is there a commissioner that would like something further explained on the consent agenda? If not, Commissioner Twardy.
I so move that we approve the consent agenda.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Bospas.
Yes.
Commissioner Baker.
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Commissioner Gary.
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino.
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item 3, special orders of business. A, City Commission vacancy and consideration of appointment.
Okay, thank you. City Manager Turner.
Thank you, Mayor. As commissioners are aware, at the organizational meeting held on November 13th, the City Commission accepted the resignation of Commissioner Abby Baker from the partial term to which she had previously been appointed earlier in 2017. Immediately thereafter, City Commissioner Baker was sworn into the full 4-year term to which she was elected on November 7th. Commissioner Baker's resignation from the partial term and acceptance of the full term has created a vacancy on the City Commission. This vacancy is for the partial term that was vacated by Commissioner Baker, which runs through November 2019. Section 5.7 of the City of Sault Ste. Marie City Charter states the following in pertinent part, that vacancies in the offices of Mayor and Commissioner shall, within 30 days, be filled for the unexpired term of the officer whose office has become vacant, by appointment by a majority vote of the members of the commission, then in office of a person possessing the qualifications for the office, and if any vacancy in the office of mayor or commissioner is not so filled within the said 30 days after such vacancy occurs, such a vacancy shall be filled for the respective unexpired terms at a special election. However, it should be noted that Deputy City Manager Troyer has confirmed that state election law would take precedence over the provisions of the city charter. More specifically, if the City Commission takes no action to fill the vacancy, potential candidates to fill the vacancy would need to follow the included schedule as prepared by the Department of State Bureau of Elections. This would require the filing of the affidavit of identity and nominating petitions by 4 p.m. on January 23, 2018 for the May 8, 2018 election, at which the balance of the partial term would be filled if a special election were required. For clarity, it should be emphasized that no special election would be required if the vacancy is filled through appointment by the City Commission. As commissioners are aware, City Attorney Canello has previously advised that the 30-day period of time within which an appointment could be made begins when a resignation is accepted by the Commission. Accordingly, the acceptance of Commissioner Baker's resignation from the partial term at the organizational meeting would create a 30-day period of time lasting through December 13th, during which the City Commission could take action to fill the current vacancy through appointment. Thank you, Mayor and Commission.
Okay, thank you. And as the commission is aware of it, the organizational meeting, which was on the 13th of November, this past Monday, the commission discussed at that time preference for looking into the community for someone that has some experience on boards and commissions. I think that was kind of the consensus of the group at the time. And so at this point, we'd be moving on to a process. It would be up to the commission here to go through the process. I guess we could, and you could nominate people tonight. You can have the process delineated tonight, and then maybe a special meeting. But I will defer to the commission members. Commissioner Collins.
Yeah, I've had some talk with some of the commissioners, and I know that there's some people out there that were talking about looking at being appointed. I think the best route at this time, and hopefully everybody's in consensus, is that we would go through the process the same way that we did for Abby and myself. That way it gives everybody an opportunity to express their interest in being appointed to the commission. So in that process basically would start with what indications of interest, and then a interview process, and then we can select. And I think that my thought process on that, and with some of the other commissioners that I talked with, is just that we want to be transparent, and we want to make sure that we give everybody opportunity to get a chance to be appointed. So I don't know if anybody else has any questions, but I'd like to make a motion that we go down that process.
Okay. At this point, you want discussion?
If we want to discuss, but
Okay.
I mean,
Or we can have a
basically
second.
that's what.
Do we want to
Commissioner Baker?
do we want to put in our nominations and then do a special meeting with interviews with those people and then also give people an opportunity to apply? Or are we just gonna nominate now and go from that pool?
City Commission. Commissioner Gary.
I like the way the process worked last time, and I think what we did is we allowed people probably a 7-day period to express their interest to the commission, and then a couple days later, then we had interviews in the council chambers. And then following that, we would have to make an appointment on December 4th. So I guess I would envision something along the lines of 7 days to tell us that they're interested in being nominated and present some material. Then we'd have a meeting to interview and discuss, and then our December 4th meeting, we'd have to make a decision if we're going to appoint somebody.
I think I also remember that there was a one-sheet information that you can fill it at the clerk's office. And remembering, too, that the three of us on this side of the table were involved in the appointment process, and the three commissioners on this side, on the left side, weren't involved because they've been just recently appointed. The process that the manager explained is fairly familiar to a number of us now because we've had a number of these activities in the last year and a half. I would think that makes sense, that we have an application process. And if someone wants to include additional information on their, some of their experiences, would be good. The commission would get copies of that. All the commission members would get copies of that. And then we would schedule interviews, and it normally would be 15 to 20, maybe 20-minute interview type of thing. And we did that in one day last time, and kind of go from there. Commissioner Twardy.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and maybe we can even include on the short application process, have you volunteered for a board or commission within any municipality? It doesn't necessarily have to be this one, and which ones they would be. Or we can just ask those questions at the interview process. So, but yeah, I would support that. I think that it gives an honest opportunity for even some of the candidates who, in the election, if they would like to further pursue an opportunity for an appointment at this point, it would be even give them an opportunity to come forward and put in an application.
Okay. Anyone else? So we have a motion, and is that a support?
I'll support it.
Okay, everybody understand the motion? City Clerk? Yes, you have a question?
Just for clarification, applicants are going to apply, filling out the boards and commission application form. Interviews will be scheduled. What is the commission's wish as far as the deadline for applying?
So we have a calendar right there.
With City Hall being closed Thursday and Friday this week, if you're wanting to keep the window short, I would recommend Monday the 27th,
Okay.
maybe by the close of business or by 4 o'clock. Maybe by 4 o'clock on Monday the 27th, that way the applications then can be distributed to the commission.
Sure. Does that look
And then we would appoint on the 4th at the next meeting?
at our regular meeting?
Regular
Or if we
meeting
need
on
to,
the 4th?
we would hold interviews, I would think
Right.
sometime the 29th or 30th?
Yeah.
Wednesday or Thursday, or that, yeah, it'd be Wednesday or Thursday? Try and get everybody's schedule squared away so we start again, depending on, let's see how many applications we get. And we could start mid-afternoon or night, depending on how many applications. Okay? Commissioner Collins?
Is there a process to get it out to the public to let them know that they have an opportunity? I mean, does it go in the evening news? Does it, like, what's the process there?
They're here. They're familiar with the process, I think, because not long ago we went through this.
So the last time we posted it on Facebook, I did a press release. It went into the paper. So it went through all the media outlets.
And then on our regular meeting on the 4th, we would look to appoint, and then if that wasn't, if we couldn't do it at that point, we'd have to do it before the 13th if we want to do this process. Okay. Okay, everybody understands the motion? Any further questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino?
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Mayor Boskus?
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, item number 4 is the city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Item A under the city manager's report would provide for the award of a bid for the purchase of a pickup truck for the Water and Sewer Department. As outlined within the prepared materials, in the current fiscal year, the Department of Public Works budgeted for a new pickup truck as a scheduled replacement for the Water Department. General specifications were written and advertised on the city's website and in the Sioux News for the half-ton four-wheel drive pickup truck. On November 10th, 2 bids were opened, which included Sioux Motors of Sault Ste. Marie in the amount of $22,135 and O'Connor's of Pickford in the amount of $22,325. With Sioux Motors being the low apparent bidder, it's my recommendation that the City Commission award the bid for the purchase of a 2018 F-150 from Sioux Motors of Sault Ste. Marie at a cost of $22,135. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And as you can see, those are some really great prices for those. There's certainly a benefit being as a category of the city entity. Commissioner Gary.
Only $190 difference in the
Yeah.
two bids, too. It's amazing. I make a motion to authorize the purchase of the 2018 F-150 from Sioux Motors.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty,
Yes.
Mayor Bospas.
Yes.
Commissioner Baker.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item B, under City Manager's report, would provide for the approval of a collective bargaining agreement with the Clerical Bargaining Unit. As Commissioners are aware, City Administration has been engaged in negotiations with the Clerical Firefighters, Police Patrol, Police Records, and Public Works bargaining units for the past several months. Negotiations have focused upon the terms and provisions of successor collective bargaining agreements, which would cover the time period of July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2020 for each respective bargaining unit. Included for review and consideration by the City Commission is the negotiated successor collective bargaining agreement that could be entered into by the City and the Clerical Bargaining Unit. Specific changes to the existing collective bargaining agreement include the inclusion of a provision that permits employees to engage in community improvement functions for 2 days per year, the inclusion of a public employee health care investment fund structure similar to those included in other collective bargaining agreements, the inclusion of a provision stating that the parties will meet during the term of the agreement to meet and study cross-training and job classifications, and 2% wage increases for each of the 3 fiscal years covered by the agreement. As agreed with the Public Works Bargaining Unit, a $500 signing bonus for each Clerical Bargaining Unit employee has also been agreed upon. It may interest the City Commission to know that the members of the Clerical Bargaining Unit initially proposed the concept of the Community Improvement Days during negotiations. This was a timely proposal as City Administration had already been reviewing possible means to further integrate a culture of volunteerism into the workforce of the city, which has long been committed to engaging with the community and supporting volunteering efforts. The Clerical Unit in particular excels in cultivating such engagement. Further, it should be noted that the creation of the study committee to evaluate job classifications reflects the reality that the positions included within the bargaining unit have evolved significantly over the course of the past 10 to 20 years. This proposal may provide an avenue for innovation in the city's current staffing model, in line with a handful of Michigan municipalities that have embraced more modern staffing models, which no longer require employees to change positions multiple times throughout their career, but opt to enhance the overall efficiency of the organization through robust cross-training and expanded knowledge sharing that more functionally blends positions to the betterment of municipal operations. Finally, it should be noted that City Attorney Canello will be producing one final draft of the collective bargaining agreement to amend the version included within the packet for modifications related to the PEHP structure. The employees of the Clerical Bargaining Unit have continued to deliver outstanding service to the community. The work functions of the members of the unit range from payroll processing to budget and financial analysis and management to the service coordination and support for the core administrative functions of city government, upon which all departments rely. In addition, they serve as frontline ambassadors and value the citizen service philosophy and a culture of service to the community. As commissioners are aware, the city has maintained fiscal stability under challenging circumstances that are impacting many other municipalities within the state and under circumstances unique to the city of Sault Ste. Marie. Concurrently, the wage increases agreed upon by the parties, in my assessment, strike the correct balance between ensuring this stability continues into the future and attracting and retaining skilled employees whose efforts contribute to the advancement of the community. The agreed upon wage increases are also in line with those issued by peer communities. On behalf of City Administration, I would like to thank the members of the Clerical Bargaining Unit for their continued contributions to the city and advancing the highest quality of life possible. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission approve the negotiated successor collective bargaining agreement between the City of Sault Ste. Marie and the Clerical Bargaining Unit in its substantially presented form. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Tuorty.
I move that we approve the city manager's recommendation.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Just before we vote on it, I'd just like, on behalf of the commission, like to thank the administration and certainly the Clerical Bargaining Unit for their diligence in getting to this point. And I think it's something that certainly the city can live with. And going forward, we thank them for their efforts, certainly on both parties. Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty,
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item C, under the City Manager's report, would provide for the approval of a collective bargaining agreement with the Public Works Bargaining Unit. Included for review and consideration by the Commission is a negotiated successor collective bargaining agreement that could be entered into by the City and the Public Works Bargaining Unit. The terms and provisions which have been amended compared to the prior agreement include an increase in call pay from $300 to $320, a modification to funeral leave which permits employees to take a total of 6 days per annum for any loved one, an increase in annual clothing allowance from $150 to $200, increases in the hourly afternoon and evening shift differentials and hourly tool allowance pay, and 2% wage increases for each of the 3 fiscal years covered by the successor agreement. As a note, the 2% wage increase has been applied to PEHP payments included within the agreement, and like the clerical bargaining unit, a $500 signing bonus for each employee has been agreed upon. The employees of the Public Works Bargaining Unit have continued to deliver outstanding service to the community. Their work functions range from water treatment to wastewater treatment, to streets and utilities maintenance, to parks and recreation, and general improvement activities. Many members of the bargaining unit possess skills which contribute to the efficient administration of city services and to the continued efforts of DPW Director Morrow to perform many functions in-house at considerable cost savings to the community. As noted with the prior agreement, the wage increases, in my assessment, do strike the correct balance between ensuring the fiscal stability of the city continues into the future and attracting and retaining skilled employees whose efforts contribute to the community. The agreed upon wage increases, as noted as well, are also in line with those issued by peer communities. On behalf of City Administration, I would like to thank the members of the Department of Public Works Bargaining Unit for their continued contributions to the city and advancing the quality of life within the community. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission approve the negotiated successor collective bargaining agreement between the City of Sault Ste. Marie and Public Works Bargaining Unit as presented. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Baker.
I move that we accept the city manager's recommendation and approve the negotiated successor collective bargaining agreement between the city and the Public Works Bargaining Unit as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any comments or questions? Commissioner Twardy.
Yeah, just a comment that the city manager made. I think that's great that you look out to our peer communities and make sure that we're sort of that we are in line when we offer wages and fringe benefits to our employees. And so it makes me feel like we're staying competitive and we're staying right in there with what we should be paying our employees.
Okay. Certainly, again, on behalf of the commission, it's I think this is probably the largest bargaining unit that we have at 43 members. Is that true?
That is correct, Mayor. Thank you.
And we certainly thank them for their diligence and administration also. And, you know, these folks are in the public eye day in, day out. And we see, you know, their work throughout the community. And we certainly thank them for their efforts continuing going forward. Certainly appreciate that. Okay. Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Talentino?
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
That concludes the city manager's report. Thank you, Mayor and Commission.
Okay, thank you very much. Item number 5, status reports. City Manager Turner.
Thank you, Mayor. Included within the agenda packet is an updated list of the current boards and commissions and city commission liaisons to the various boards and committees for review by the community. And if any citizen or party is interested, certainly happy to provide this list upon request.
Okay, certainly, and with the new appointment of a additional person in the near future, some of these might change a little bit to give that individual some of the liaisons, and notice the existing structures, Board of Appeals could have someone at this point, but there isn't anyone as a representative, so maybe that would be one that would go toward the new person coming on. Okay. And then the commission that is presently seated, if you'd like to give up maybe one of your, not all of yours, but one or to give the person maybe 2 or 3 items that they could participate in, that would be a good thing. Okay, just something to think about going forward. Then we can talk about it at that particular time. Anyone have any questions on that? Okay, City Manager?
That concludes the status report section of the agenda. Thank you, Mayor and Commission.
Okay, thank you. Item number 6, matters presented by the public. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to make a comment at this time? We do thank you all for coming. Item number 7, matters presented by the City Commission. Again, just the Friday night Parade of Lights, Parker's Hardware sponsored Parade of Lights beginning at 7 p.m. downtown. Line up behind the Parker Hardware starting at 6. We know there's going to be a ton of people, and we'll proceed to City Hall for the lighting ceremony. Commissioner Baker.
Also, I just want to throw out there the Youth Advisory Committee from the high school. The students will be putting on a roasting s'mores thing at Bird's Eye after the parade and the lighting of the tree, and it's by donation, so it's a good opportunity to do something fun with the family and support the kids that are trying to raise money to go to Guatemala this year, I believe.
Okay.
So, good cause, good fun.
And that is at Bird's Eye after?
At Bird's Eye after the lighting of the tree. Yep, all
Okay.
by donation.
We also have the Madrigal Dinner coming on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of, that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday of December. Again, the Madrigal Dinner raises money for hospice, and I see Peter out there, Peter Skorniacki, and I know he's been involved. If not the Lord, he's been the master of the hall, and he has a lot of words to talk about. Lord of the Matter kind of just sits and enjoys dinner. But it's a great time. If you haven't had a chance to do the Madrigal Dinner yet, you can't believe the amount of talent in the area. And it's not just Sault Ste. Marie, because there are folks from Pickford, Cedarville, so the surrounding area, putting on entertainment and music that is unbelievable. So it's just a great time and a good time to start the holidays. Okay, Commissioner Tuardi.
Thank you. I brought an example of the beautiful semi-septennial calendar that Sioux Events has put together as a fundraiser for our 350th birthday. The pictures that are in here are so amazing. Some of them you would think that they're paintings, but they're not. They're actual photographs. And so they're available around town. I know I'm selling them at my store for $10, and it's an 18-month calendar. So if you'd like to pick up one of these calendars and help us out with our 350th celebration, I'll keep this one right here on my desk for a few minutes if anybody's interested in taking a look at it.
Yes, some of us have already purchased those, and the pictures
Beautiful.
bring back some memories.
Yeah.
And, the metal Christmas tree that used to sit on Ashman
Tree.
right at the corner of Spruce, and there was a lot of discussion when people saw that go up, and it wasn't needles. Commissioner Collins.
Can we talk about the fence on the walkway, about what's going on with Cloverland? Are we allowed to talk about that in
Sure,
public?
if you'd like to bring it up. Sure.
Okay. Well, I would just like to maybe have Oliver explain a little bit about what's going on, so that possibly people in the audience could talk to the Cloverland board, maybe?
Sure. Thank you for that question, Commissioner. As the Commission and the community is aware, the City of Sault Ste. Marie and Cloverland have embarked on a joint project to develop a non-motorized trail to the south of the Power Canal that runs from West Portage Avenue to Johnston Street, approximately. And the crowdfunding effort has gone very well. Approximately $39,420 has been raised by the community. So there's just over $10,000 to raise as part of the effort to secure the $50,000 matching funds from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. With specific regards to the fencing, that would be considered by Cloverland Electric. Right now, it's my understanding that Cloverland Electric is evaluating what type of fencing would be installed, if it would be more decorative or ornamental, or if it would be more cyclone fencing with barbed wire. And the board would be able to approve more ornamental fencing, or more basic fencing, or perhaps something in between the two options. And my understanding, they'll be considering that at their December board meeting.
Commissioner Collins.
Wasn't the crowdfunding done, though, with the anticipation that we were going to have a more ornamental structure type fencing? So I guess my thought process on that, at least my understanding, was that we were going to have an ornamental fence, and that when it was first brought to the commission, that Cloverland had pretty much said that we were going to get an ornamental fence, and now they're saying that they have the option not to do that. So we're going to have this beautiful pathway with all this funding, and we're going to have an ugly fence.
City Manager?
Thank you for that comment. I do know that outside of the fencing, the pathway itself has been included within a number of long-term plans, be it the Master Recreation Plan or the city's non-motorized transportation plan, as an important connector between different points of the city in an effort to enhance non-motorized transportation. So I think irrespective of whichever decision is made on the fencing, the project would still be a major benefit from the standpoint of connecting non-motorized transportation routes.
Mr. Collins?
So in essence, if you want a more decorative fence, then please contact your Cloverland board members and tell them to vote for one.
And I was going to mention that too, that there's a variety of decorative fencing. I would think chain link and barbed wire would not be what we would envision as being the walkway. So, and then Cloverland did make the commitment, Dan Daschle was here, made the commitment of have a decorative fence, much like with the lock project, but Dan Daschle works for the board of directors, so it's up to the board to spend that kind of money.
But
So-
to make that,
Excuse
I'm
me.
sorry.
So that, well, we can talk to the Cloverland Board of Directors to see if there is going to be some kind of a happy medium to a decorative fence. And that's what the input that I think Commissioner Collins is talking about, so that they ultimately the board decides what's going to be there. Hopefully, it will be something that is, if they can't afford to spend the amount to get something that looks similar to what the lock project has, then something that's nicer than, or a step down from that, and still is within the scope of what we envision. Okay, that's kind of what we're aiming for. So if the community would like to talk to their board members of the Cloverland, I think is what you're saying, is that we would invite that to happen.
Yes.
Okay.
I got one
Any?
more. I got another one if anybody else hasn't.
Okay, Commissioner Collins.
Just kind of going over the increases that we just put into our payroll, it leads me to think to the fact that our tax base has been shrinking over the years. Obviously, our population is declining. Our expenses are going to go up municipality-wise in order to compete with other municipalities, which is a nice thing that we're able to do that. We've got a couple other things that are out there that we know are weighing heavily on us. I'm not a fan of increasing taxes to property owners. One of the things I thought about when I worked down in Detroit is a lot of people worked in the city of Detroit, lived in Royal Oak and Birmingham and so forth. Well, because all the people were using the infrastructure of the city, and the city didn't have a way to actually collect the taxes, they actually set up an income tax for people that worked in the city. And I know we've talked about this a little bit at the commission level, and you guys may have talked about it before, but I really think that we should talk about a way or something that we can do to have an income tax base on people that are working inside the city. And it's ironic to me because a lot of the people that I talk to that complain about the roads and a lot of the other infrastructure we have, they don't live in the city. So so now my question to them is, so you don't pay city taxes, but you're going to complain about the infrastructure. So why don't you make a donation? Because you can do that. But anyways, that was actually Alpha's idea. I guess what I'd like to do is, what's the process to have a more candid discussion about implementing a income tax for the city?
City Manager or Commissioner Gary? One City Manager, go first.
Thank you for that comment, Commissioner. For a more in-depth discussion, possibly one of two options could be taken. The annual goal-setting exercise of the City Commission, which occurs in February, may be an appropriate time to place that under the administrative category for goals. Outside of that, a special meeting of the City Commission to discuss that at greater length and provide direction to City Administration may also be appropriate.
Let's go to Commissioner Gary. Yeah.
I was just going to ask that maybe if the city manager could resupply us with the previous, I think we had a study done or a report
been a while.
done on that, but it would give us some information and give the other commissioners some information on how that actually works. So if we could resurrect that and
And I would
Get some
also
old
think that
reading going.
that could be an item that if it gets enough votes, it would be something that we'd spend some time on. If it didn't get enough votes, then it would be something that we didn't spend any time on. So if a commissioner wants to bring an item forward, the commission would decide, as I would look at it, as that's an item that we want to do. The goal-setting session is a good time to do that in February, which is not that far away. We go through the budget, we have goal setting, and those come up, and then we decide as a commission on what the priorities are, and we go forward on that. And that seems to be the best process. And we could certainly have some information before that about the possibilities or what was done in the past. But we spent some considerable amount of time and money on that, and the final outcome was that the commission, as I remember, didn't want to spend the additional money it would take to get to that point. And then guaranteeing that property taxes would be reduced and stay reduced at the time was all part of it, which you're getting into an area that people already taxed. I don't think you can just tax outlying areas. In a city income tax, it affects people that live here also. So there's percentages that have to occur, and it's a large item, and it's something that if you want to talk about, we can do that certainly, but I would think maybe the budget time would be a good time to do it.
Just out of curiosity, when was
Commissioner, let's go back to Commissioner Collins, and then we'll come back to Commissioner Baker.
Oh, I just wanted to make sure that I guess I'm clear. I'm not for increasing taxes to people that live in the city. So if there's a way to have the income tax set up, and then also to where people that live in the city could get a reduction on their personal property taxes or something, I think that's the better way to go. But I just want to make that clear that I'm not looking to tax more people in the city. I think we're taxed enough.
Commissioner Baker.
I was just curious as to what study you were talking about and when it was done.
Let's see, Commissioner, I'm going to ask the city attorney, if your memory, instead of me talking about it, your memory serves, you have a darn good memory.
More than 20 years ago.
Yeah,
Oh.
okay. And at that time, it was, we were talking about reducing property taxes, but we didn't know how much, but it could be significant, try to hold the taxes down and develop an income tax for the city and for the out county that worked in the city. And it's a big job. Get to the point where you actually have some knowledge about what you're going to save and how much you're going to collect, and how you continue to reduce property taxes and fill in the difference with the income tax for property for income to the city, and then tax people coming in. And there's certain percentages you use, so it's not an easy question, but Commissioner Baker.
Would that report really be valid? I mean, for 20 years things change and,
Well,
I mean, I'm
only
just,
valid
I
to the
mean, it'd
point
be a
of
good
how the
point, I
process
guess.
works.
Okay.
Just how the process
Okay.
works. Unless
But we're
laws
not
have been
gonna go
changed.
off, like, okay.
And who knows what the laws have changed and once you start looking
Right,
into that.
that's, okay.
Commissioner Twardy.
Thank you. We discussed this 4 years ago at goal setting, and when logistically it's such a sticky thing. I'm not sure were you filling in at that time, Robin, or I'm sorry, Deputy City Manager? I think maybe it was right before Oliver got here, and we were running the goal setting like right after I got elected, and that was because that was one of the things that came up in topic, and just looking at the cost of doing the business of collecting the tax, and logistically, how would you really get it done? You'd have to ask for honest reporting from all of the businesses. I mean, it's pretty sticky. So I know that we did revisit it 4 years ago. So less than 20 years ago. It was 4 years ago.
Is it in the one 20 years ago?
That was a
in
real
depth.
study. Yeah,
I mean,
that
it
was
got
an
to a point
in-depth
where
study.
we had spent some money, we had some information, but it didn't go any further. Just for your information. We can think about it, but I think the goal setting would be the start.
Well, and I guess my thought process is, yeah, thank you. When I was working in the city of Detroit, it was only like 0.5% or 1% of your income.
That's the law.
What's that?
I think that was the minimum you could charge, or just how much you could charge. Out County, I think, was 0.5%, in town was 1% at the time, if I remember the numbers correctly. But it's, like I said, it's been a while.
I guess my thought process is that when you look at the city and 56% of the people are renting, and what I've noticed is that, and this is just what I see, is that when you have people that are making good paying jobs, they typically move outside the city. So if you have people like doctors and lawyers and professionals that are working in the city and getting the benefits of the city, but they're not paying for any of the infrastructure, how can we, as a city, recoup some of that or get some of that into our pockets, I guess? Anyways, I'm done.
Worth a discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably didn't make any friends on that one.
Anyone else? Commissioner Gary.
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Woohoo! Support.
It's been moved, supported. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.